Welcome to Leadership Speak, an advanced Toastmasters club for leadership development. We are one of the top 5 clubs globally. I am Zinga Jas, your Sergeant at Arms for the meeting. Our club mission: we provide a supportive and positive learning experience of communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Leadership Speak is the premier club for experienced Toastmasters to become better self-directed leaders. We are an advanced club focused primarily on leadership development in everything we do. Our timer has virtual hand raised so we all can immediately see who is speaking and keeping the time. Our Toastmaster of the day, who will lead our meeting, is Jyothi Thomas. Jyothi is a seasoned trainer, speaker, and social entrepreneur with over 25 years of experience. Holding double master's degrees in public administration and education, Jyothi began her career in education as a Montessori teacher and later transitioned into corporate training, working with prominent organizations like TCS, HCL, Infosys, and Bank of America. Jyothi is a very active Toastmasters with over 5 levels completed just for Leadership Speak, and she's the winner of Leadership Speak contest this year. Jyothi, I'm looking forward to see you as Toastmaster of the Day. Please help me welcome our Toastmaster of the Day, Jyothi Thomas.
Thank you, Sergeant at Arms Zinga, for putting that little laughter just as you started. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all the lovely people right here. Welcome to Leadership Speak. Today is a wonderful Saturday while I welcome each and every one of you. A very warm, special welcome to our guests. May I now request all of you to just go ahead and be on the video and post on the chat box as to where you're logging in from. This is what delights us at Leadership Speak, each one of you being here. While you're doing that, we're going to have the guest book put out right there. Irene, may I request you to post the guest book? Please sign in. At the end of the session, we're going to be waiting, and the founder president of Leadership Speak will connect with you. There is no going away without meeting and greeting our lovely guests. Thank you for making the time to be here. We will stay in touch. Today's theme, I'm going to quickly take a look at the timer. Thank you. Adaptive leadership. Thriving through change. What made me come up with this? Well, I was telling the founder, DTM Brahman, when I said, today it's going to be something that's my experience. Look at me signing in all the way from Chennai, India. Look at all the members right here. What brings us here? 17th February, 2022. Ring a bell? What was significant? I can see Rosie recollecting. What was that?
The Charter Reform Club?
Yes. A celebration time, the way we chartered it. And let's think about it. Prior to that, what happened? We celebrated just last month our 3rd birthday. Is it just cutting of cake? Is it just a celebration? Or is it purely coming together of self-directed leaders through challenging times. All of us remember the pandemic when everybody was shutting down, running helter-skelter, didn't know what to do. And that was the time this club grew with 30 flags today right behind us. And that calls for a round of applause. Go ahead, fill the screen with your emoticons. We are talking about the founder, the charter members who did storming, norming, performing, all the ings to be here today. A day to have fireworks, a day to celebrate, blow the balloons. It's very easy to say, let's cut the cake, let's celebrate. Thank you very much. That's nice to see the hearts floating, the balloons floating. And as we're doing this, keep writing on the chat box what you think about Leadership Speak. How did I come here? Like water, I came right through seeking a club that precisely had all the flags are showing. In just 3 years, metamorphosis, a change when people were struggling, when we didn't know where to go. That's when this club came alive. We always hear attrition happens everywhere. And I was wondering, yes, attrition happens. But what makes people come and leave? They leave when they have refueled themselves. They leave to go and distribute in other clubs. They come back to replenish. And that is what we talk about, adaptive leadership. Here we are self-directed leaders. And let me tell you, my favorite phrase I picked up here, we ain't a 7-minute Toastmasters club. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, we have few days in between. We work, we connect enthusiastically to make sure we keep raising the bar. We are always doing it. So what makes us be here? There are times we think enough, that's reality, but there's something that draws us back. That is why it's special here. I'm going to ask each one of you to tell what brings you here. Type on the chat box. 30 flags and 60 plus members. Not a joke. Week after week, we do multiple duties and we are still here. That is what we call adapting to any situation. People have done all that they have to and have moved in, brought us to this place where we are right on top, 5th rank. That is not easy. And we have decided to stay there and keep moving up. It's possible because we have a phenomenal group of members who know what Leadership Speak can give. We are thriving through challenges when it's thrown across by cross-mentoring, people asking us how well we can do, what else do we have? We don't get that everywhere. Look around and see the screen. People who come with great value through different challenges. I've had zillion mentors and coaches. With that, it's never the end, it's just the beginning. Adaptive leadership, thriving through change and challenges. I'm now going to invite, moving to our next segment, one of our leaders, self-directed leader, Sandra Vance, who will be raising the toast to this wonderful occasion. Before she starts off, Irene, please make sure we have the guest book because everyone is going to wait to join our wonderful leadership club. Thank you. Over to you, Sandra.
Thank you. Fellow Toastmasters, today I want to talk about something we all know a little too well. Change. It's one of those things in life we all can count on. And like it or not, change is part of the package we got when we signed up for this wild ride called life. Indeed, if we only consider the kitchen, at any moment, it's just a snapshot. Think of it. Simply making our cup of Dorman's coffee from the beautiful fresh beans. First, the beans go through the grinder. Change. Next, the measured grounds go in the coffee pot. Change. Now the water has already been changed. Getting from the tap to the boiling pot, there's another change. Water hits the coffee grounds. Change. Even the brewing time makes a change in the flavor of the coffee. Perhaps we even add flavors. Change. Or milk. Change. Sugar. Another change. Well, let me tell you, our lives are very similar. Something happens in our life. Change. We react. Change. Change is truly inevitable, and we can resent it or we can be grateful. We wouldn't want to be stuck, especially if the coffee you use is inferior. No, of course, we'd want it to be Dorman's, right? As leaders, it's important for us to stay flexible. Think of it like dancing in a surprise rain shower. Just go with it. If we stay responsive, we're ready for whatever surprises come our way, whether it's a somersault, well, not a somersault for me anymore, but whether it would be a somersault, a turn, or a total plot twist. Innovation and learning, they are our best friends. They help us make sense of all the new stuff that's thrown our way and might even make us look a little bit smart doing it. Navigating through complex challenges becomes a bit more fun when we're always open to new ideas and curious about what's next. And let's not forget our teams. Engaging everyone in problem solving and decision making, that's just not nice to have. It's essential. When we work together, we see things from different angles and come up with solutions we might never have thought of alone. So here is to embracing change like an adventure, keeping our minds open and working together to make it all happen. Let's celebrate new ideas, new challenges, and new ways to succeed. Ladies and gentlemen, please unmute, open your videos, raise your glasses to change. Cheers
To change.
to change.
Yes, change.
To change.
Change.
Yes, to change.
Change.
Yeah, to
Thank-
change.
Back to you, Jyothi.
Change.
Thank you very much, Sandra. Thriving through change. And that was so beautifully brought by you, where you said solution in changes, and you brought in Rosie's Dorman coffee. Beautiful. Thank you. Now, I would like to introduce two role players, the timer of the day. Shanizia Bellamy, may I please request you to explain your role, please? Thank you. Kindly unmute your audio.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for that. Hello, Toastmasters and friends. As the timer, I will be timing each speaker according to our agenda. I will flash my background with a green, yellow, and red accordingly, and I will keep my virtual hands raised throughout our meeting. After each session, I will post the timings in our chat box. Over to you, Jyothi.
Thank you very much for reminding that the hand will be raised there and the time will be as per the agenda. Now we have Toastmaster Pulkit Gupta, who is the grammarian. May I request you to explain your role? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. So, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests, as grammarian, it is my responsibility to pay close attention to all speakers, listening carefully to their language usage. I will take note of any misuses of the English language, as well as any outstanding words, quotes, sayings, or thoughts. As a grammarian, it is also my duty to introduce the word of the day. The word of the day is metamorphosis. It's a noun, and the meaning is a complete or profound change in form or nature. A few examples in a sentence is: witness your metamorphosis into becoming an international speaker at Leadership Speak Tuesday meetings. That comes from experience. See the metamorphosis as an opportunity to thrive, not just survive. Each speaker is encouraged to use the word of the day. I will give a word of the day report and grammatical usage report when called upon during the meeting. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Pulkit, for that. And metamorphosis. What are we talking about today? Thriving through change. That's metamorphosis. The change we bring into Leadership Speak. And we have today our educational speaker who will talk to you about that precisely. Before I invite the speaker, the educational speaker, who's the first speaker for the day, I would like to invite her speech evaluator, none other than our very own charter member, DTM, Tony Bratschitsch, to read the purpose of the speech, please. Over to you, John. Thank you.
Yeah. Hello, everyone, fellow Toastmasters, fellow members, and most welcome guests. Our leadership speaker this morning is Youselee Joseph. She's presenting first speech from Motivational Strategies. And what Youselee is looking for. Now, this speech is a setup to the second speech. The first speech is where she makes her presentation, where she's going to be working on speaking style. And Youselee wishes to receive feedback, and that's critical to what our club is all about, but especially critical to Youselee's project today. Youselee needs feedback from me and from you about how she could incorporate or do a metamorphosis of her presentation style for the next time she does this presentation. So we're all familiar with this type of technique. Make the presentation, get the feedback, then come back and do the presentation again. Now, Youselee asked me to look at a few things. She wants me to look at the structure of her speech, the content, which by that, meaning the relevance of the content to the audience, and how she uses figure of speech, which means rhetorical devices, nonverbal cues. So please join me in working towards Youselee's continuing success with our club and in life. And let's give her some good feedback after this guaranteed to be a wonderful presentation. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you very much for welcoming the educational speaker for today, Youselee Joseph. The title of his speech is 1, 2, 3 Steps in the Dark. 1, 2, 3 Steps in the Dark. Youselee Joseph, over to you.
Mommy, how did you manage to still do all these things like this after such big change in your life? This was my question to my great aunt. Affectionately, we call her Mommy Nea or Auntie Nea. When I was a child, one of my grandmother's strict rules was to spend at least 1 hour every day with her only living relative. During my time with Auntie Nea, she was always a responsible adult. She knew when I was putting myself in danger. She knew whether I was eating my food or not, or whether I was sad or happy. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? At this time, Auntie Nea was over 100 years old and had been blind for at least 40 years. Despite her age and condition, she was still living alone in her house. She was taking care of herself. And as a seasoned businesswoman, she was still earning money by renting out a part of her house. She was that tall and inspired respect and trust. Her ease of moving around, doing things, taking care of herself impressed me. As a young child, every day after visiting her, when I get back home to my grandmother's house, in the evening, I turn off the light. I blind my eyes, and I've tried to behave like Auntie Nea. You can agree with me that she had a secret. So I wanted to find this secret. Unfortunately for me, every time I tried, I failed. I run right in the wall, hit my head, I fall, and cried. As I couldn't do it or find the secret, I asked her one day, Auntie, can you tell me how to behave if I can't see? I want to be like you. And she smiled. She said, honey, I just adapt. Adapt. On several occasions, we have had conversations about multiple changes that happened in her life and how she strived through them. She talked about her metamorphosis from a country girl to a successful businesswoman in the city. We talk also about her as a young, beautiful wife to an old, blind lady. She was one of my best friends and role model. She died after some years. She was 120 years old. At that time, I was 18 years old. What a wonderful example of still standing or standing firm in the face of great changes or in the face of challenges. Sometimes those changes can be joyful, positive. Some other times they can be painful. At the time of my conversation with Auntie Nea, I didn't really understand the concept of change. For me, change was about the time, the days, month, years, seasons. That's all. For me, she's blind because she has been on earth for quite a while. And she was born with all her wrinkles. And yet, I just look at me in the mirror and I don't recognize this person. At that time, I thought that I was always be this young woman. And now, I almost got some wrinkles as well. Whether we expect it or not, change will come and it will bring luggage with it. Luggage that we must take care of, whether they are good or bad. In fact, as Toastmaster Sandra said, change is constant in life. And as Aunt Nea said, the only way out is to adapt. If change was a big term for me, adapting was even more so. Now that I am a grown woman with my almost wrinkles, I have left my city to another one. I've left my country to another one. I finally understand how to put these two words in one sentence: change and adapt. And I feel some days that I turn off the light, blind my eyes, and just walk in the dark. I'm sure that I'm not the only one in here today who has done it. Every person in this room, all of us have done it. From the founders, members of the club, to the first-time guests, we all have our own experiences with managing change. Every day in our life, from the day we were born till today, every day, some small, constant changes is happening or are happening again and again and again. We embrace most of them because they are insignificant and harmless. But what happens when the change is unexpected, painful? How do we react when our environment becomes unfamiliar? At work, within the family, in our country. Alan Wilson Whyte said, The only way to make sense of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance. Ladies and gentlemen, joining the dance begins here. The first big task that we have to do in the face of change starts in our mind, within ourselves. And start the job within ourselves means using two specific tools. The first one is emotional intelligence. To understand ourselves, to understand others, to identify our emotions, our needs, as well as everybody to understand others' needs and emotions. As a leader, we can lead others if we can't lead ourselves. As we are promoting in this club, self-directed, to know ourselves in order to know others and help others. The other tools that we need is critical thinking. To keep an open mind to new learning. To be open to innovation. We need critical thinking to analyze what is useful, important, and essential. We don't have to grab everything and go with them. This is why, as a leader, it is important to keep sharpening our critical thinking. Emotional intelligence and critical thinking also allow us to reduce stress, to stay positive above all, to let go and be flexible. When I was in my country, I used to go to the beach regularly. Not Lake Beach, country cousin, beach on the sea. The first piece of advice that you will receive when you are going to the sea as a child is when you are in the water and if you see a wave coming to you, don't go in the opposite direction of the wave. Don't stand to confront it. And don't get too agitated. It's not necessary. The wave will eventually catch you and it will push you onto the shore. Change is like a wave. We can't stop it. We can't control it. We can't fight against it. So it is important to adopt right attitude. Adaptive attitude is key. The second task, big task to do when facing change, requires concrete action. Take action means take care of ourselves physically, mentally, psychologically, and all the elderly. Take care of yourself in the way of eating, sleeping, conversation, learning. Take care of the body and the mind. Take action is as well seek for important information from every possible sources, from the young one, the old people, new employees at the job, when this change is happening in the office. Look for information from some specialized institution, in books, in the news, everywhere, from everybody. When I arrived in Canada almost 2 years ago, it was like a parachute jump, but without the parachute. And I felt that like I was walking in the dark with my eyes blindfolded. I didn't know what to do. So I looked for information. I gathered as much information that I could. Then I took time to sort out of all of them. I choose what to keep and what to discard. But we need a lot of information because some other people have gone or have already experienced what we are experiencing at the moment. And the third big task is to have fun. Enjoy the process. Collect and grab all the positive aspect that we can get when the change is coming or when we are in the middle of big change. During my first year in Canada, when everything was dark, I received and accepted invitation to attend shows, to visit many places. I have visited the 2 of the Great Lakes in Canada. I went to Niagara Falls. I went to Quebec. My friend Guerdah here welcomed me at her house in London, Ontario. I met her family and we had fun. I was with Bram in Mississauga. Bram invited me to join this club. It was in the middle of challenges and big changes. I make new friends. I have participated as well in charitable works to give a little bit of myself to others in need. 2 months ago, I was with a friend of my sister, and she was talking about something happened, an activity that they used to have. And she asked me, Youselee, do you remember this or that? I said, I was not in Canada yet. She said, oh, I forgot. You embraced the change with such grace that I feel that I knew you for at least 5 years. And I felt grateful that I was able to do all of that. Ladies and gentlemen, when the lights are turned off in the room and you are blindfolding, don't worry to move around. Rely on your ability to get through. You will realize that The oven is in your left side. The chairs are on your right side. The bed is behind, and the door is right in front of you. Start the job within yourself, in your mind, and expand your horizon. Connect with others. Ask for help. Give a little bit of yourself to others. And don't wait until everything is perfect to have fun. Enjoy here and now. My great aunt called all of this simply, in the face of change, the only way out is to adapt. Madam Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you very much, Youselee. You very clearly stated, enjoy the process. And I'm going to say, believe in the process. And that's what adaptive leadership is all about. And you beautifully brought in how from one country to the other, leading from your personal, moving on to what you gain at Leadership Speak. It's important for us to know today it's all about adaptive leadership and thriving, being the metamorphosis, bringing the change, showing the change to be right here. Look at the number of people who have signed in, 46 of us right there, and welcome guests. That shows what brings people here. There is a change, and we thrive through that. Thank you. And with that, I'm going to request Irene, my dear friend, to please post and make sure we have the guest book that everybody here is signing in so we can have DT and Brahman talk to them after the session. Now we go into the next segment, which is the prepared speeches. And for that, the first speaker will be evaluated by Toastmaster Nichole. And may I request her to come and read the purpose of the speech for Toastmaster Buhari Zayyad.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day. Greetings, fellow Toastmasters and guests, and a special greeting to Toastmaster Buhari. Toastmaster Buhari's speech purpose is for him to identify his primary leadership style. So he will be sharing with us some aspects on his primary leadership style and discuss the way he is using it in generally. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you very much, Nichole. Buhari Zayyad. Looking forward, Buhari Zayyad. Over to you.
Raise your hands if you still feel and believe that you have more to learn in leadership. All right. The Toastmaster of the Day, fellow leaders. Leadership is a journey that makes me feel, oh, I'm still not good enough. But then, as I scroll through the route of true leadership, which is delivering service, I tend to realize that instead of focusing on becoming 100% ready-made leader, I should focus on the journey whereby I get to learn the nitty-gritty of what it takes to be a leader. Not only a leader, but a good leader. There are different aspects of leadership and different types of leadership that one can incorporate, but depending on the situation you find yourself. For instance, we talk about the democratic leader, where majority carries the vote. Coaching is another aspect of leadership, where as a leader, you tend to guide people to reach their full potential. Ethical leader, it's also a kind of leadership where one brings on skills like active listening, empathy into conk leadership. As for me, one of the leadership experiences I would share with you today is when I became the president of my local club. When I was the president of my local club, I realized that I had to lead the club to achieve 10 DCP goals. But how I take my leadership would be quite different from the previous leader that was the president of the club. In there, I saw people with full potential of becoming eloquent speakers from timid speakers. And then I took it upon myself to interact one by one with each member just to know how I could be of service, because as they say, leadership is not about title. Me being the president of the club doesn't qualify me to be a good leader, but delivering services that will make members of my club feel they have a leader makes me a good leader. And as such, I approached people that on usual terms will term themselves introverts because they feel I don't interact with people very well, so I'm an introvert. And so they hide behind introversy just not to be active speakers and members in the club. All I did was to listen to them empathetically, show them I understand what it feels to be a timid speaker or someone who lacks confidence in saying words to people. By doing that, I incorporated the coaching aspect of being a leader. And I'm happy to announce that one of the members started very timid, but later on, she became a very confident and eloquent speaker that in one of our meetings, a guest stood up and said during the chat with the president of the club, I want to speak like her. And I smiled. It felt so happy that I used some of my leaders to have brought her out of her shell, that today someone is saying that he wants to speak like her. That was how I was successful, and I achieved 9 DCP goals in 6 months, which meant that the only goal I had to click was the training goal, which had to come in the following January. And as such, leadership means that service delivery should be done according to the recipients, according to your subordinates, or according to your members, as far as Toastmasters is concerned. Another major leadership role I embarked in my life was when I started working as a salesperson in one organization, banking. I was the second in command in the branch, but could you believe that I was the youngest in the team? All the other team members were older than myself. And I cracked my brain to think, how can I be able to make this team move forward? But then I incorporated democratic style of leadership, where if I want to make decisions, I make it open to the floor. I take suggestions from my team members. What do you think we should do to achieve 1,000 accounts at the end of the month? The team members, of course, will respond. I think we should do marketing storm. Which area do you think? And by the time we have a unanimous agreement from the team members, it makes my job so easy. Now, the team members own the decision making, they own the process, and they feel like they have a voice. They feel like they have a voice. I've been seeing some chats. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can I go on?
Yes.
Okay. They feel like they now have a voice in the team, which makes my job easier. Incorporating democratic type of leadership makes me even look forward to having
Jyothi,
team meetings
can you
with
just
my members.
take over and we'll get to the
Going
speaker
into
later.
the future. Hello? Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Jyothi, unmute.
Jyothi, you are muted. Unmute yourself. Jyothi,
Hello? I
unmute
think
yourself,
my video is
Jyothi.
disabled. Hello?
Is my audio clear?
Now we can hear you. You're now unmuted.
Are you able to hear?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Buhari. You said not good enough. Interesting. And you also said how important it is when you started taking on other roles in different clubs. We at Leadership Speak believe in adapting, and we keep sharpening the saw, and that's which is very different at Leadership Speak with the self-directed leaders. With that, we will move on now to our next speaker, the second speaker, who is Toastmaster Arouna, who will be evaluated by Nellie Ayodo. May I now request the evaluator to read out the speech purposes. Thank you.
Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Arouna is going to do a speech, evaluation and feedback. It's from the pathway of dynamic leadership. His speech title is Truth About Communication. The purpose of this project is for Arouna to practice applying feedback and serve as a speech evaluator during a club meeting. He is to demonstrate the ability to deliver an effective, respective speech evaluation. Arouna, Truth About Communication, Arouna,
Thank you very much, Nellie, for that. Arouna, over to you.
Arouna, you again? Enough is enough. You have always something to say, even if we did great. What's wrong with you? Get up. It was one Wednesday in 2009 during the release of the report on household living conditions, when I share my comments about the reports published by the National Statistical Institute, my previous institution. After this meeting, I was facing difficulties to be accepted in my new team because I stood up in the front of the boss to share my opinion. Fellow Toastmaster, dear guest, by doing that, I forget one important law of power. Never outshine the master. According to Robert Greene, make always those above you superior. In your desire to please or impress them, do not go too far, or you may accomplish the opposite, inspire fear or insecurity. During this meeting, I told the truth, but my boss felt in insecurity. Fellow Toastmaster, dear guest, after this experience, I shifted my communication focus to my audience. As engineer, statistician, economist, I'm an analytical communicator. I like facts and figures. I like to present information in a well-organized manner. It's what I learned at school. And at the beginning of my career, I was not diplomatic at all. But by the time I learned to be more diplomatic, this metamorphosis on my communication style teach me three important truths about communication. First of all, the way you are telling the truth is more important than the truth itself. Always think about the impact of your communication into your audience. The second one is about the secret of Socrates. When you have to give feedback, don't call directing attention to the people's mistake. And the last one, but not the least, is about the fact that in talking with people, don't start by discussing on things we differ. Always begin by emphasizing things on which you agree. Fellow Toastmaster, dear guest, currently I'm working as macroeconomist specialized in financial market. It is a technical position, but communication is key for the success in this position because I'm always delivering speeches, training, organizing workshops, and managing people. As Dale Carnegie said, effective communication leads to better interpersonal relationship and allows you to lead with influence. The shift in my communication style helped me to improve my relationship with my colleagues, my friends, and my family. Back to you, dear Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much, Arouna, for that share. Life does not get better by a chance. It gets better by change. And that's what we see here at Leadership Speak. We're now moving on to the next speaker, who is Terrence, who will be evaluated by Luciano. May I request Evaluator Luciano to read out the purpose of his speech, please.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So Terrence will be presenting a speech for level 5, and this is project number 2. So for his speech, is meant to describe his experience in a leadership position, and also the impact of a 360 evaluation. Okay, over to you.
Thank you very much. Terrence Ware, full stack developer. Full stack developer, Terrence Ware. Over to you.
Have you ever wondered what goes on in the background of a software program like the one we are currently using? For you, you can see the front end. You can see the Kenyan flag, the country I come from, and you can see my screen. This is the front end. On the other side of this program, there's a lot of work that went into creating the database. That is the data that is held behind the screens and supports what you see. More like a full stack developer. So a full stack developer is one who does developing of both the front end, what you see here, and the back end, what you don't see. I draw a parallel between this and being a vice president of education. I have been a vice president of education at my club, Alibad's Toastmasters Club. And just like a full stack developer, I have developed the front end, the things that people see, and the back end, the things that people don't see. I will start with the front end. Every time we have a meeting such as this, there's a lot of work that goes on in the background. There are role takers to be trained. There are role takers to be prepared. That is the front end. The aesthetics you get to see, how they interact during the meeting, how the meeting is handed over, and so on and so forth. In the back end, a lot goes on as well. This is where leadership happens. This is where people collaborate, communicate, and achieve their goals before you see them in the front end. As a full stack developer, VPE, you can call me that as well. I stand in the middle. I do, or I've ensured both the front end and the back end. So far, I have had 3 key lessons from this experience. The first one is organizing and leading an organization. In my experience, most of the times I've always been thrown in the deep end in a new role. And this was not different. When I was going into the elections at my Toastmasters Club, it was simply because there was a gap and I needed to step forward. This is a role I had never taken part in and I had never tried before. As some of you might know, the VPE role is one of the most feared roles in Toastmasters. For you guests, don't be misguided by hearsay. And this is why I decided to take up on this chance. The second thing that I have learned, and that you'll also get to learn if you become a vice president of education, is the developing people. And this takes me to the back end. Every time a person takes up a role, they improve on one area. For instance, when the timekeeper is taking up this role, she's improving on becoming attentive to what is happening on screen. These, among other skills, are usually developed through the back end, and it's only seen in the front end at the end of your period. For instance, I can clearly say that at my club, time is currently being kept well, just as we are doing at Leadership Speak. The third and final lesson I'll talk about at this moment is that leadership is about adapting. I don't know where you will place this experience, but it can fall either on the front end or the back end. In more occasions than one, I've had to step in and take up roles. You might have seen this happen a few weeks ago when our Vice President of Education at this club had to take up a role that was initially planned for. This is one of the most disappointing moments and the lowest moments for any vice president of education, because you're forced to go back and become a role taker, or forced to become someone who is developing himself alone instead of developing the rest of the members. From this experience, I've learned that each and every moment is an opportunity to grow. Adaptation, for instance, is an opportunity for you to try new things, just like I have tried a new role in Toastmasters. And even as I juggle this and another role at Leadership Speak, I'm learning to be adaptive. Not every day will be a rainy day, and neither will every day be a dull day. We take it in stride and ensure that we learn from the lessons that are brought ahead. Throughout this process, I'm glad to report that I did not work alone. I've worked with a team that was dedicated, and I was developing them in one way or the other. I can talk about developing them as a full stack developer. For instance, looking at my 360 degree review, I noticed that I've helped people, or I've helped some of my team members become positive even in their approach to various difficulties. As I said before, the Vice President of Education is sometimes considered a lonely space. Some people consider it a back-end space. But thanks to that collaboration and enthusiasm I've instilled in this group, I've seen a lot of growth in individuals. I've seen a lot of growth in the whole team. And that gives me pride being a full stack developer as far as Vice President of Education is concerned. As I look in the horizon, the front end, asking myself, what will become of this role after I'm gone? I'm glad to say that it will still be a full stack role, simply because I've created that enthusiasm and demystified the things that used to be said about the VPE role, not only in my club, but probably also in your club. And I've made it simple for someone to approach this with an open mind and achieve their different objectives. As a full stack developer, I'm glad to say that I've developed the front end. That is the aesthetics that we usually see in my club, and the back end. Those small steps that members achieve without necessarily shouting to the world for the world to see. Dear Toastmaster and guest, what is holding you back from becoming a full stack developer in your area? Is it a new role that is challenging you beyond what you perceive as your abilities? Or have you not challenged yourself enough? Join me as we become full stack developers in our various areas of influence. Don't only develop the front end or the back end, but be a self-directed leader by developing the full solution. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you very much. Full stack developer. And I thought you were going to be talking about technology, and you said something very interesting. Things that you see and don't see, befitting for our self-directed leaders. We are always thriving. We're doing so much on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That makes us adaptive. And that's why we are here. There is no challenge because we have a whole bunch of people who reach out and pull you up. You just have to ask. Even if not, they will knock on your door. I had many. Rosie, Sandra, Hannah, Tony, I can list. That's why Leadership Speak. Adaptive leadership, thriving through change. Now we move on to the next speaker. Nicole Whyte. She will be evaluated by Mrinal Ghosh. May I request her evaluator, Mrinal Ghosh, to read out her project objectives, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the Day, Jyothi Thomas. Our speaker, Nicole, delivers speeches from Pathway Dynamic Leadership, Level 1, Project 1. And by the way, it's an icebreaker speech. The purpose of this speech for the member to introduce themselves to the club and learn the basic structure of a public speech. All the best to Nicole. Back to you, Madam Toastmasters.
Thank you, Mrinal. Nicole Whyte, the way, Nicole Whyte. Over to you.
I've always had my heart set on completing my tertiary studies and finding my dream job in finance. The sooner the better. Well, life got in the way and the sooner became later. 7 years later. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, it took a while, but I eventually got to savor the joy of checking them off my list of goals. After spending a decade in my dream job, the curtains closed. Newsflash, the national airline is going up for sale and mass redundancies on the horizon. Thank you for your service, Nicole. 96 degrees in the shade, the usual temperature in Kingston, Jamaica, and a new day begins in the exciting world of door-to-door sales. Find parking, grab my portfolio, prey on small business owners without trying to seem desperate. This is not where I saw myself in my childhood daydreams. I've had enough no's. What if I just don't go back? I'll be replaced in a heartbeat anyway. So I took that leap of faith. Great. Now I'm out of a job, unemployed, and on to the job hunt. And you and I know that's a job in itself. Do you agree? Thankfully, I didn't take too long slinging off resumes because I hit that jackpot. A friend of mine called me about a big opportunity, a telecommunication giant hiring en masse. My anticipation blossomed as I pictured myself at my new desk, back in the finance world. The conversation ended on a high note, and as promised, she sent over the job details. Job fair, call center agent. Let me continue scroll. That's it? That's it? Call center agent, contact center agent? Well, I'm all out of options, so let's see where it leads. I reservedly accepted my role as a contact center agent, but not long after, a wave of optimism catapulted me to step up and put on my best show. After all, this is a foot in a reputable company. I'll just show up and put on my best show. Knee deep in 8 weeks of rigorous training and mountains of paperwork, the daunting reality clouds my mind. Not long after, I moved from a timid trainee to a seasoned supervisor in one fell swoop, galvanizing my newfound love for managing people and projects. I made a radical move to do further studies in my postgraduate education and training, and I successfully completed it even in the midst of a workload blitz. Career Metamorphosis in full effect. Learning and development, my calling realized. I forged great relationships, had excellent mentors, and collaborated with brilliant minds. Brilliant peers such as Sashani. She was a smart and innovative individual who championed the company's corporate Toastmaster Club and prodded me to join incessantly, even although I gave her all the excuses in the world. I finally yielded and attended my first Toastmaster meeting. I said to myself, this feels good. I like being here. This resonates with me. I'll sign up, but maybe when the time is right. Welcome to Pearson International Airport, Toronto, Canada. Unbuckle my seatbelt, grab my luggage, and I had to remind myself this is not a vacation this time around. Want to become a better speaker? Join the Humber Toastmaster Lakeshore Club. Those were the words I saw on a flyer about my second month in my first semester. I signed up. I joined. Officially a member of a Toastmaster club. I served in various roles, including 2-time presidents. Ladies and gentlemen, here I am today, a member of a premier club, challenging me to new heights, self-directed, with greater impact. Our President Bram Mamone recently said, it's in the discomfort and discomfort that we forge a new mindset. My obstacle became the way. I'm sure my story sounds familiar to you. We have all had our disruptions and delays in the avenues of our life. But my big question to you is, will you make that obstacle stop you, or will you make it the way? Madam Toastmaster.
That was leap of faith. Will you make the obstacle stop you? Thank you very much for that icebreaker. Now moving on to our next speaker. John Ojeifo will be evaluated by Paramjit Singh. May I request the evaluator Paramjit Singh to kindly read out the speaker's purpose of the speech, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day. Toastmaster John is presenting her speech from Pathways Motivational Strategy, Level 3. Focus on the positive. The project is, and the purpose statements are, the purpose of the project is for the member to practice the being aware of their thoughts and feelings, as well as the impact of their responses on others. The purpose of this speech is for the member to share their experience completing the project. On top of it, Master John has asked me to look into the engagement with the audience with our speech, as well as with the tone and gestures. Over to you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you very much, Paramjit Singh. John Ojeifo, the power of self-awareness. The power of self-awareness. John Ojeifo, over to you.
According to the ancient scientist and philosopher Aristotle, knowing yourself is the beginning of wisdom. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, are you self-aware? If so, how well? You see, I thought I was self-aware until I realized I wasn't. I had no clue how my mind worked, how my emotions influenced my day, or that my perspectives was as unstable as my Wi-Fi signal. One moment it's in full blast, the next boom, it's off. So today, let me share the story of my self-awareness metamorphosis. 4 weeks ago, I started a simple habit, keeping a daily record of my thoughts, moods, and attitudes. Sounds sophisticated, right? Honestly, it is just me scribbling something in my paper, like this. Monday, woke up grumpy, coffee did not help. Why is everybody so annoying? On Tuesday, oh yeah, feeling great, birds chirping, sun shining. Even office atmosphere was great. Wednesday, oh, don't even go there. Stuck in the traffic. I couldn't get to the office. I honked at 3 drivers. They honked back. Soon, my car became part of a noisy road rage orchestra. At first, I thought, big deal. What's this daily recording going to change? Then, something shocking happened. Just 2 days later, I realized my morning mood set the tone for my entire day. If I started the day frustrated, my conversations felt tense. My emails had a passive-aggressive undertone. And everyone gave me all kinds of judgmental look like, I don't know. Well, however, when I approached the day with patience and gratitude, something magical happened. My coffee tasted better. My emails sounded friendlier. And my boss didn't send me urgent messages at 4:59 p.m. It was as if the world had shifted, while in reality, I was experiencing my metamorphosis. By tracking my moods, I became more intentional. Instead of letting emotions control me, I started choosing how I wanted to feel. I went from, why is everything annoying, to, what if I just breathe and smile? And guess what? The world didn't end. In fact, it got better. Conversations became lighter. Tensions faded. I even cracked a joke that made my boss laugh. A rare miracle. Well, we found out that self-awareness didn't just make me a better person. It made me a better communicator, a more patient friend, and shockingly, a less happy driver. In summary, keeping a daily record of my thoughts, moods, and attitudes helped me understand my mind, shift my perspective, and most importantly, transformed me from an impatient, ego-driven, frustrated pessimist to a kinder, more positive, energetic, and dare I say, likable optimist. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, self-awareness is like having a superpower. The ability to step aside yourself and feel the metamorphosis as you become a more competent, effective communicator and leader. In the words of distinguished Toastmaster and coach, Bram Memo, who is also the president and co-founder of Leadership Speak, he says, self-awareness is the key to extraordinary quality of life. So I ask, fellow Toastmasters and guests, do you practice self-awareness? If not, start today. Focus on the positive. Make it a habit. It will transform you. And like me, very soon you'll begin to hum that old Jimmy Cliff song that goes like this. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that held me blind. It's going bright, bright, sunshiny day. You will witness bright, sunny, shiny days, just like me, because I witnessed it. It is going to be a bright, sunny day when you practice self-awareness. Thanks to the power of self-awareness, I've witnessed it. Back to you, Mother Toastmaster of the Day.
Do you practice self-awareness? And he leaves us with a song. Thank you so much, John, for that. Now, truly being self-aware is where we are going to the next session. I would like to introduce, before my introduction of the GE, let me quickly look at how our guests are doing. Our wonderful guests are right there. Please go ahead and sign up into our guest book. Irene, may I just request you to quickly take a look and see how they're all doing? And please stay there. You have more interesting things to come. And DTM Bram will connect with you at the end of the session. Today, as we move on to the next session, Metamorphosis. This is where we are self-aware, critical thinking, everything sparks. And the general evaluator for today is somebody who has a double DTM from the legacy path and the pathways. He's been a Toastmaster from February 2012. He learned leadership lessons by serving many roles: club officer, area and division director, pathways guide, a mentor, and in several other meetings, he has taken up significant roles. I would like to welcome none other than our DTM, Ray Rivera. Over to you for the general evaluation session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jyothi. Oh, just stop it. You know, I just have to be more self-aware of all this, all these accolades you just threw to me. Oh, I saw that we have the poll for the best effort speaker already on. And Jyothi, can you do me a favor and ask for the timer to publish her report on the chat, please?
I'm sorry. May I request the timer to kindly post the time for the speakers on the chat box, please? And we have the polls for the best effort speaker. May I request everybody here to please go ahead and vote for the best effort speaker. We have the polls right there.
Okay, is it okay for me to continue as general evaluator for the meeting? Or do we want to wait a few, just one more minute?
Continue, please.
Thank you very much, Bram. Okay, today as general evaluator, I have the role of engaging how well we have run this meeting. For some of us, it is a metamorphosis of going above just a simple evaluation of speech or speeches and including everyone of how well we did, because the important part of learning to speak at Toastmasters is how well did we do as speakers? What can we improve upon? What can we challenge upon? Because the ultimate goal is to invite the speaker to talk the next time. That's our ultimate goal. And I'm also have the responsibility of making sure that the meeting runs very well so that we can support all of our speakers and role participants. And our first evaluator is Guerdah Felix, who will be evaluating Sandra's toast. Guerdah, I cede the floor over to you.
Thank you, General Evaluator. Fellow Toastmasters, guests, and especially Sandra. A beautiful toast about change. It was personal, animated, inspiring. You touched our mind and also our heart from beginning to end. You told a story pertaining to change by sharing with us the process of making coffee. You went from the general coffee to the personal dormants. And that touched all of us here in Leadership Speak. You help us to know how we feel. The tone of your voice changed when you use we. You said when you navigate through challenges, when we navigate through challenges. Your voice changed. And I know that that was going to take us to a different tone. You connected very well with the audience. To me, you made sense, and you also had great flow. Now, here is something to work on. Your speech was filled with body language, your hands, your face, everything was animated. And I wondered if there were less movement, would it even emphasize more your voice? Because there was so much animation that at some point I did not know where to bring my attention. So in giving this toast, I would suggest to pause more, to be less animated, so that we can know and follow very greatly. Your pace for me felt a little bit rushed, a tad rushed. So I would say pause a little bit more. But in summary, what I loved about your speech is that you went from the general coffee to the personal dormants. There was a lot of humanity in your speech, a lot of connection. Pay attention to your hand movements and your pace. But what made it even better for me is that you connected very well with us. Back to you, General Evaluator.
So very much, Guerdah, for that outstanding evaluation. I really love the emphasis that you put on the vocal variety to help the speaker keep on the message. Sometimes when we speak, we're just so engaged, and sometimes we forget about how animated we've become that we end up distracting ourselves from delivering the message, and instead the distractions become the message. We, as Toastmasters, always strive to work on that, and vocal variety is a great example of how we can improve in our speaking ability. Next, I am going to introduce Daniel Odero to evaluate our Toastmaster of the day. Daniel, could you go ahead and present your evaluation, please?
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. And thank you, Jyothi, for a well-run meeting. In Leadership Speak, preparations begins 2 weeks in advance. And you are very active there. And we saw how the preparation was. You're connecting with each and every member who had a role, reminders being sent out. This was done very well. And this then shows of the comfort level you have when presenting, when leading the meeting, talking about the theme very clearly, the fun, that the joy, that the warmth that you brought to it, right from the beginning, calling in on the guests to sign in the guest book, engaging with members, asking what happened there, engaging with some of our members about how we started, and then also introducing each and every one of the presenters here. Talk about the structure was great, done very well. This was all done well, and you are a winner in these things of presenting and reaching out and touching the members and everybody who else is in the meeting. One thing a lot of good things were there. Probably one thing that we just can consider, and that was just towards as you're finishing the first section of the meeting, going into the part of the general evaluator, when you had introduced him and then went back again, probably to talk about once again there. So once you've handed over, probably that's the transition to the general evaluation part, have it more seamless. But you did well in introductions. You did well in calling out the members and each member after their presentation, talking about what are the points that they brought up, how those related to Leadership Speak. Very well done with that. A second point probably also to consider when calling out for the guests to fill in the guest book, I felt that probably we did a little bit much. Maybe the number of times could be a maybe less and then emphasize in one part. So maybe instead of doing it every other time, maybe after about 2 or 3 speakers, then say it again, then at the end there. So spread it out a little bit. But all in all, a great run meeting, great preparation, great introductions, great communication with not only the speakers, but also with the guests. Well done, Jyothi. This is also a masterclass in how a great meeting is run. Thank you for this. And back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Daniel, for that outstanding evaluation. I too noticed with the same observations that you did with Jyothi. It's just the preparation really shined through. We don't realize when we work behind the scenes how much that would impact, but it does float to the top. I loved how how you mentioned about the suggestion about the comments about the guest book. It doesn't have to be done so often. It just has to be done enough. Maybe at the beginning, and then 2 or 3 speeches. Great idea. And then toward the end, just as a reminder, don't forget. Why? Because we want you. And also, and I love this comment when Jyothi introduced herself, is the closing. What brings you here to Leadership Speak? What motivates you? Maybe we could add that a few more times, also sprinkled throughout the speech, because what we have here is a great setup for our club to be positive and improve ourselves. Great job. Next is, let's see on the agenda here. is our first leadership evaluator. Tony, I don't want to pronounce your name wrong, so I'm just going to call you Tony B today.
It's okay. I don't pronounce my last name either, so we're okay.
Well, better you than me.
Okay. All right. Hey, thank you, General Evaluator, and hello, fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests, and especially you, Youselee. Now, I'll remind everybody first that Youselee's project was on motivational strategies. Remember, motivational and strategies. And the title of the speech, which is really going to did show through her presentation, was 1, 2, 3 Steps in the Dark. Now, and this was about managing change. And I like to quote our grammarian who said, thriving through change. So that was well said, Polkit. Now, Youselee, you asked me to focus on 3 things. One was the structure of your presentation, the content or the relevance of it, of the material, and the figure of speeches you use to make the presentation. Now, I'll start off by talking about the structure. You open up with a wonderful story about Auntie Mia, who was blind for the last 40 years of 100 years of life, but full of resilience because as she was taught you so well how to adapt. Then part of your structure is you use a rhetorical device with three tasks. You talked about mindset, keeping our mind open, action, far as physical and mental action to take care of ourselves, and having fun, have fun. Mm-hmm. So that was part of the structure. The content was extremely relevant. And you talked about resilience and adaptability, emotional intelligence, managing change, be more mindful, and innovation. And when you talked about that, it hit me about something that a very important article that LinkedIn Learning presented in the year 2022 for businesses to handle during the pandemic change. Those 5 things you talked about actually were power skills that LinkedIn Learning wrote about. And the number 1 power skill that you emphasized was adaptability and resilience. In other words, Auntie Mia and yourself being adaptable, resilience, on how we should be. Figure of speech, the third item. You used something that was very powerful. You used emotional draw by pulling us with the story about Auntie Mia and pushing us with the tasks we should take to make ourselves like Auntie Mia and like yourself. A suggestion for improvement. You opened with a wonderful story that drew our emotion with Auntie Mia, who took steps in the dark. And you gave us tasks to use if we're blindfolded, not blind, blindfolded for steps in the dark. So therefore, I would suggest you would have wrapped up your presentation the same way, combining all that, Auntie Mia's pull and the push of those 3 steps, but with a statement, something like, whether you're blind, like Auntie Mia, or blindfolded, as we find ourselves during change, move within your mind, because that was the essence of your message as a motivational strategy to thrive during change. In summary, great structure, excellent content, and good use of figures of speech. And wrap it up with a call to action about Auntie Mia, adaptability, and resilience so we can thrive during change. It's about winning in life. Thank you, GE. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Tony, for that outstanding evaluation. I love how Youselee presented her speech, starting with just her great aunt, and then using that first part of the story to transition over to the second. It's such a difficult task to just combine those 2 stories with a common theme, but I felt that Youselee mastered that admirably. And all I could think of is just some of these famous quotes that we get from business leaders like Stephen Covey. Begin with the end in mind, sharpen the saw. And there was another book that kind of popped into my head, Who Moved My Cheese, regarding change. And boy, I'll tell you what, all these ideas flowing out, that's exactly what we want our speakers, every speaker, to just share. Like, oh, I'm so motivated by that. You gave me this idea, I'm going to go try it. And that's exactly what Youselee did, and you conveyed it quite well. Thank you very much, Tony. And our next evaluator is going to be Nokawe Nkosi, who will be presenting the speech from, let me get my notes here, they're all over the place, I apologize, for Arouna So's speech, Truth About Communication. Over to you.
Thank you so much, General Evaluator. Greetings, fellow Toastmasters, and a special greeting again to Toastmaster Buhari. Toastmaster Buhari, the network decided to be jealous and metamorphosized your speech. As a result, I only heard half of it. But I will evaluate from what I've heard and observed that you excelled in delivering your speech with clarity. Your vocal variety was very clear. You were present. You know, your Zoom present just made us connect, to be able to connect with you easily. You engaged with your audience very well by the use of the question that you asked us at the beginning of your speech. And we all felt that we were all leaders who are metaphorizing in our roles. What I have loved with your speech is the way you've structured it. You use a relevant evidence by the time when you were a president of a club. And the unfortunate part was that I couldn't connect it with the purpose of your speech. You might have said it, but because there was no sound, I didn't hear it. What I just want to challenge you on is the limiting of use of your hand gestures, because they were well displayed, but they were overly used in a way that at some point it confused me. And what I want to challenge you on is also working on your Zoom background. It looked beautiful, but when you were delivering your speech, it conflicted with your presence. So I would suggest or recommend that you use a plain background so that you are able to deliver your speech with clarity in a way that nothing conflicts with your message. In summary, your vocal variety was clear. We were clear on the different types of leadership styles, but because of the sound, we couldn't connect that with your own primary one. Your gestures, naturally, they flowed very well, but you overly used your hands and your Zoom present, but you delivered your speech very well. Thank you. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Nokawe. I loved how they used the word metamorphosize your sound. See, I can't pronounce that. Unfortunately, sometimes when we think of metamorphosis, we think of positive change, but in this case, having something imposed on us like that, it could have turned out better. And I'm so sorry, Buhari, that that happened to you. But I did like the suggestion on the hand gestures. That's great, thumbs up, and the Zoom background, because the primary purpose when we try to deliver our speeches is to make sure that us and our message is center stage and no distractions away from that. So very, very good. Our next evaluator will be Nellie Ayodo for Arouna So's speech. Nellie, could you please go ahead and give Arouna his evaluation, please?
Thank you very much, Arouna. You excelled at doing the things that you were asked to do from the last evaluation according to the plan that you gave me. The first thing was emphasizing your message, smooth transitions, and standing up. You achieved all those 3 things from the brief that you gave me. This is a metamorphosis of your evaluation from speech 1 to speech 2 of this project. You explained 3 things about this evaluation, or you explained how to give feedback in an evaluation, to tell people things that will impact them, not to tell them things that you differ, to tell them things that you quite agree. And you had beautiful quotes. Your gestures were excellent. And I could see your eye contacts because you're close to the screen, and that was very clear. You may want to work on your vocal variety, especially your pace and pause. You're a bit fast. You need to speak a bit slowly so that you give the chance to us, the audience, to absorb your message. And try putting pauses in your message so that we take time to understand. It's only after we understand that we get the message. Your speech was informational by nature. You're telling us about evaluations and how to do it. Challenge yourself to move around the stage. You stood in one position, and therefore, or go forward and backward. Since this is a Zoom meeting, you could go forward to emphasize a message and then backwards to prove a point. You also mentioned that you're very good at facts and figures. Maybe you could have incorporated statistics in your message to show us the logic. Your speech time was challenge yourself to speak within the allotted time. Your speech time was 4 minutes and 14 seconds, but the speech was supposed to be 5 to 7 minutes. All in all, your speech was very well articulated. Your gestures were very good, and you spoke about 3 ways in which to evaluate. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Nellie. And I like how you emphasize the use of just vocal variety and body language to help the speaker improve into delivering that message. Those 2 factors are important layers of how we can deliver our message. And the challenges, it's not easy to move around in this little box that we display on Zoom, but it can be done. And that's also something that we all notice, especially now in contest season, and not just the vocal variety, not just the body language, but also the movement paired in with how we display our message and our points for emphasis that keep the audience attention. And a lot of time, it doesn't matter if it's too short or too long. Here in our learning lab, we find ways that we can improve ourselves, and I like that very much. Our next evaluator is Luciano for Terrence Ware. So Luciano, the stage is all yours.
Hi, Terrence.
Terrence.
Okay. IT issues. So Terrence, for your speech, you excelled at 2 points. One of the requirements of your speech was to present an experience where you were in a leadership position and the impact that had. So you really excelled in the metamorphosis of connecting that back and your leadership in the technical aspect on the IT side, and also on the leadership side, where you explained your experience as a VPE, where you had to also develop people on your team, and also where you stepped in as a leader to take some roles where people could not perform those roles. So you showed that, and you connected both from the technical aspect that you mentioned as a full stack developer, but also in leadership speak. So that was a very good point. From your speech, 2 points that you asked me to look at. One was the pauses, using the pauses to emphasize the message. And the second was vocal variety. At the beginning of your speech, you had less pauses, but as the speech went on, you were more comfortable and you started utilizing the pauses in order to emphasize the message that you were communicating. So you really excelled at that. That was really good. And the other aspect of your speech, which I would like you to work on, is on the vocal variety, because that was the second point you asked me to look at. As you were giving your speech, you only had one tone that you were using. There is a need when you use vocal variety to change the tone of your speech so that we can see that message. You can start slow and then you raise your voice so that people can understand better and better, and you emphasize the same way that you utilize the pauses on the second half of your speech. You can also utilize the vocal variety. Okay, one thing that I would like you to challenge yourself on is when giving a speech like this, your project required your experience from the 360 feedback. You gave the experience from 360 feedback, what the impact you had on the people you were leading. However, it would also be good so that you can also give what the impact of that 360 feedback have on yourself. So that goes two ways: the impact you have on the people that you're leading, and the impact that feedback that people that you are leading have on you. And now you improve to be a better leader. Thank you very much for your time. Over to you, General Evaluator.
Luciano, thank you so very much for that evaluation. I'd love to, and this is true for all of our evaluators, not just yourself, is how you connected with your evaluators prior to the meeting on what to focus upon. And you certainly did. The biggest thing about vocal variety is that we sometimes default into a monotone when we speak, and we always have to work on that habit on each and every speech. And yours truly is probably guilty of it more often than they cares to admit. But I also love that you included the 360 feedback. For those of you who haven't done that, think of it as an evaluation form on your leadership. For anybody who is a club officer or even a district officer, these evaluations are very important and I can't emphasize enough that take the advantage of passing along those 360 evaluations so that you can find a way to improve yourself as a leader. So thank you for bringing that up, Luciano. Our next evaluator will be Mrinal for Nicole Whyte. Mrinal, I'll cede the floor over to you.
Thank you, Ray. Ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, we all are storytellers. Onus on us how we can make more impactful to the audience. I especially thanks to Nicole for your icebreaker as an engaging introduction to who you are. From the start, you connected with the audience through emotionally, and your warm presence and clear articulation your message throughout your speech. The way you share your journey from finance to learning and development made it relatable and so inspiring. Your confidence and structured storytelling kept us engaging throughout your speech. And I love your eye contact. Throughout your speech, you maintain eye contact with the audience. And in online meeting, it's very challenging to maintain the eye contact with the audience. And I also love your clarity in your message and your authenticity when you speak. Now, I have two recommendations for you for your speech further to add a bit more into the next stage. Mainly, I'm talking about your vocal variety or pause strategically to emphasize the key moment in your story. Like, I just give an example. When you are excited, speak a little fast so you can connect with the audience. And when you share some emotional feelings or sad feeling, just little bit slow down your space, then an audience can feel your story for a moment. So strategically, you need to key emphasize your moments through emotional attachment, through just space up your speech during your speech. This would create a more stronger emotional impact and make certain parts more memorable. And if possible, just try to add some personal anecdote illustrating a turning point in your learning development career could add in depth in your speech. And another thing I just want to show you, whenever you are in the online meeting, just if possible, try to take care of your background. I think sometimes you are delivering amazing speech, but sometimes your body language is not visible because of your posture. I know that you are facing some network problem, but this part you can take care of that. If you maintain that, I'm sure that few things I'm talking about, great thing I'm talking about, that connect with the audience with emotional, eye contact, and clarity and authenticity. This is your strength in your speaking area. It could be more better, just emphasize on your vocal variety and pause strategically according to your story, and just maintain a little bit of your Zoom backgrounds. And then you becoming a keynote speaker. Just mind my language, you become a potential to becoming a keynote speaker. That's all from my end. Back to you, Ray.
Thank you so very much, Mrinal. I love how you presented the positives, what to improve upon, and the challenges. And this is such a wonderful speech, and it was very clear from beginning to end. Now, the best way to kind of expand the vocal variety and pause, I love how you include fast when excited, slow when sad. You know, it's so much important that we find a way to use vocal variety to express how we feel, because it's the emotions that connect with the story. Like you can say, go, 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 and you really want to go, but somebody says, no, 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 and you're disappointed. That's just an example you can consider using to capture the emotions. That's great. Now, our final evaluator for today is Paramjit Singh for John's Ojeifo speech for today. Paramjit, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, General Evaluator. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. And Toastmaster John, you have shared the pearls of wisdom by sharing your experience of metamorphosis, of being not knowing yourself to becoming aware of everything, every mood and every attitude with your inspiring and motivating presentation. I could relate of not being aware of my words or sometimes my thoughts, which creates unhappy moments for me. And for the people around me also. And the best thing is that you provided us with the solution of writing a journal, understanding your moods, and transform yourself, your emotion, and you manage your message was very clear and was being self-aware of your feeling, emotions, and attitude. And you have met the objectives of the project. Now, your speech was well structured with an engaging question and quote in the opening, a body with your shared experience with the journal and how it helped you to transform yourself to become aware of your share of your emotions and your attitudes. With a strong conclusion, you had a strong conclusion, a takeaway message, and concluding with a song depicting your transformation very clearly. I also like the way you have gone deep into the project before presenting it and understanding the importance of writing the journal and working on this. Now, as you have asked me to take focus on your vocal variety and engagement as well as gestures. Now, the first thing is that your vocal variety. I think you have used a fair level of vocal variety, particularly when you said, I become more intentional, as well as when your boss laughed at the joke. Of course, there was a lot of other chances where you could have even used more vocal variety, particularly when you are talking about your journal about the Monday, like, why is everyone so annoying? Feeling great, like honked at the people. So these are a lot of other chances. You use them, but you can have added more vocal variety to these words. Now, the same way with your gestures, you have shown it in the very beginning, like when you said 4 years ago, you shown the finger, your body movements I'm talking about. Of course, we couldn't see much of gestures because of sometimes you're looking at the right and left. And your spoken words, they added value to your spoken words, and you sang the song also. That time also your vocal your gestures were, we could see your gesture at that moment of time. Now, the best other thing was your Zoom presence. You are very well placed in the center, wonderful background, matching with your professional attire, like a professional keynote speaker. You are absolutely in the center. And the gap from the top was also very fine. And we could see your hand movement also because of this. That was a really very good position to speak on. Now, the only thing was you were looking sometime on the right and left. And that was another, which was not able to connect with. Now, the metamorphosis for being from good speaker to excellent speaker, you might consider falling. You are very much engaging with the people with your words or whatever you've experienced. However, your eye contact was missing, because in the very beginning, you were looking on the right side of the your side, right side, maybe I think maybe reading from the notes or maybe using some other device. Now, I think you have to practice all the speech, whatever you have prepared very well in advance, so that when you speak, your emotions and your eye contact is absolutely very much engaging with the people. Now, with the good structure of your speech, good vocal variety, Zoom presence, and gestures, I think you are certainly going to prove the metamorphosis of becoming a good speaker from a best speaker. Over to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Paramjit. I feel so much better now that I'm not the only one who can't pronounce metamorphosis, even though I just did it right. I saw a theme in all these evaluations today. Vocal variety, mostly, and body language. How important it is to really understand what the pitch, the tone, the volume, and the pace is all about, and the impact on each of our speeches to deliver our points, to express our emotions. And then body language, especially with the gesturing, and don't forget the facial expressions and eye contact. This little camera, when we see ourselves through Zoom, it's not just a member of the audience, it's a de facto member of our club. So we just have to remember to pay attention to the camera when we do our speeches. So very good points. I love how you emphasize that, Paramjit. And now I am going to introduce Sanisha to present her timers report. If you can go ahead and present that. And then while we're waiting for Sanisha, Pulkit can give us the grammarian's report. Can you go ahead and spotlight Pulkit, and how many times did we use that word of the day? I'm curious.
Thank you, General Evaluator. So drum rolls here, we use word a day for 25 times today. So it was used 25 times, and shout out to Jyothi, Tony, Youselee, Brahm, Arouna. Nicole, John, Ray, Nukave, Nellie, Luciano, and Paranjeet. Top spots was taken by Jyothi and Ray for verbal usage 4 times. And Brahm takes the top spot in the textual usage again 4 times. Just for the right pronunciation bit, I will give Jyothi the top spot for verbal usage as well. All right, so let's now move to improper usages that I noticed during the meeting. The word alone was pronounced as alone. I blind my eyes. A better use could be I got blindfolded. It felt so happy. A better usage could be I felt elated, or I felt absolute happiness. For a male speaker, it was used presenting her speech. The right would be presenting his speech. As someone who has been receiving it, I often go, really, buddy? For your speech, you excelled in. Now, for could be replaced with in. So in your speech, you excelled in, could be better usage. Now, excellent usage, there are many. Here's from Jyothi: running helter-skelter, storming, norming, performing. It's never the end, just the beginning. Sandra used change is part of the package. Change is inevitable. We can either resent it or be grateful. Youselee, what a great example of still standing. Change will come and it will bring along luggage with it. Again, Youselee, we can lead others if we lead ourselves. Buhari gave an interesting contrast when he said eloquent speakers from timid speakers. Arouna used the phrase effective communication leads to better interpersonal communication. Terrence, there is parallel between full stack developer and VP education. That's innovative. Nicole used you and I know that job hunt is job in itself and one fell soup. John used knowing yourself is the beginning of wisdom. And this final one from Ray, distractions become the message. A few words, 5 words I noticed that were of excellent quality, especially in the context. Buhari used nitty-gritty. Terrence used juggle, demystified. Nicole used savor, catapulted. John used passive-aggressive. And Rosie used in text, immaculate. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Pulkit. Now I'll present my report. Meeting preparations, outstanding. I loved how Jyothi took the initiative and spent not 1, not 2, but 3 weeks preparing for this meeting. Jyothi, your preparation showed through today. Thank you so very much. So was the room and equipment set up on time? Of course it has. And we welcomed our guests. We kept welcoming our guests, and we keep encouraging our guests. And we were, like I said, the meetings started on time. We got the presiding officer was prepared. All roles were fulfilled. And then some of the general evaluation stuff. Yes, I did introduce the grammarian. Yes, I'm going through kind of a checklist here. And are we doing a lot of time? I think we are. Some short, some long, but the par for the course for this club. And we did use the word of the day, but only 25 times. What's wrong? I mean, Brahm, what's up with putting metamorphosis in the chat? Isn't that cheating? But anyway, that's beside the point. That's just an opinion of the general evaluator. You don't have to take it to heart. Timer was prepared, and then we did have the grammarian / all counter. That's a joint roll, and overall, I think we held up our meeting standards. When the video was posted, especially the speakers, whether you're an evaluator or a speaker, watch yourselves. Give yourself an opportunity so you can take a look at yourselves and find if there's ways that you can improve yourself as a speaker. I know that's for some of you, when you took a look at a video, you do this. You don't want to see yourselves. Take a chance to see yourself because we want to see you improve. And with that, I am going to turn the meeting over to our Toastmaster. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry, I forgot.
Ray, you forgot to call me on the agenda.
Myself, I'm sorry. And so you're over to you, Brom. I apologize.
Ray, you can't hide. You will metamorphosize into something else. So I'm here, if you see on the agenda, as the trainer. Why? I'm the club founder, and I train a lot of people on how to become better evaluators and how to become great speakers and how to become speakers who speak like leaders, confidently, with conviction, with credibility, and with the basis of critical thinking in terms of how the content is put together. So the key thing, because this is an advanced Toastmasters club, the key thing is how is the content structured and how does it land with the audience? And is there an audience takeaway at the end? That is our focus. And based on that critical thinking of how the content is put together, the evaluator begins to do their evaluation. And if you all know from level 1 in pathways, writing a speech, there's 4 criteria. Did you inform? Did you inspire? Did you persuade? Did you entertain a speaker? So what did the speaker do? That is the focus of an evaluation for an advanced club to begin with. And then the general evaluator evaluates the evaluator, which we did very well. We are improving on our evaluations to the next level. We are metamorphosizing, Pulkit, metamorphosizing to the next level in how we do our evaluations, how we think critically about how we put together our content. So, for example, I would like to commend Nokawe today for, despite Buhari's drop in the audio and we couldn't really hear him, Nokawe was still able to give him some pointers, and Buhari will come back in our training session on a Tuesday to complete his speech so that we can give him a better evaluation. As well, our brand new member, Nellie Ayodo, would like to say that well thought out evaluation for a brand new member from a community club to an advanced club, because here the learning curve is steep and you did well. So congratulations on that as well, Nellie. I can see also on the best effort evaluator, if people can vote some more, only 18 of the 31 people have voted. So don't take the poll down. I hope it's still up, because a lot of people have just there's like 5 people with 3 votes and that's it. So if that is the case, that is the case. But the thing is, we have to listen very carefully to what the content is and what we are really conveying to the audience. So since we are getting very good at what we are doing here in our meetings, in April, there'll be another training for those speakers and evaluators, especially the speakers, because an evaluator, a good evaluator can become a good speaker. So that's why I just said speakers. Those who won't get very good at creating a content that is world-class. If you are heading towards contests big time, we will be doing a special training session on a Saturday for our members. If you're a guest and you want to become very good at speaking with confidence, with conviction, with credibility, then join up, sign in the guest book. I see that quite a number of guests have already signed up, and some of them are interested in joining Leadership Speak. We're always looking for members who want to upend their speaking skills and become great leaders in how they speak. With that, I will hand this back to our general evaluator. Over to you, Ray.
Thank you so very much, Brom. I already presented my report, so I'm going to transition my role over to Jyothi to take us in for the rest of the way. Jyothi.
Thank you very much, Ray, for that. Now, while we are waiting, we have Aries Casanella, who will be presenting the thoughts on the theme. Over to Aries, please. Aries, are you there? Yeah, thank you. Over to you.
Hello, fellow Toastmasters and our valued and esteemed guests. It's always a pleasure to be here with you today. So, adaptive leadership, what a theme. It involves responding to complex challenges. As leaders, we have to be adaptive. There is not only the requirement to have a tool set, but even more importantly, to have the mindset to be able to thrive through change. And some of the mindset was shared here with us today, and I will mention a few. It's about us being adaptable. It's about us being resilient. It's about us having the emotional intelligence. I go on naming a few examples that were shared with us here today, from a country young girl to go through the metamorphosis to become a successful businesswoman. How many of us here today have not come from a country lifestyle, have been successful in metropolitan cities? So deep transformation. It was mentioned here, the COVID-19, again, another big and deep transformation that many of us have gone here today. And it's very good to see the leadership speak to not only to adapt through the COVID-19, but even more importantly, to thrive through it. So one of my big takeaway is really change is constant. It was mentioned here more than 20 times. It's constant. Change will always be there with us. And again, I will take it with me. That change will bring baggage. Some like them, but we need to be able to embrace the change and move forward. So call for action really for me and for us today is for us to be able to be open to those changes, to embrace those changes, and make sure we can use that as a stepping stone for something higher. I'll finish or I'll wrap up by quoting Bill Clinton, who said, "The price of doing the same old thing, the price of doing the same old thing is far higher than the price of change." Back to you, Toastmasters of today.
Thank you very much. And you clearly proved through whatever challenges, you are still there. With that, we come to the end of this part. And may I now request for the awards to be displayed, the best ever speakers certificates to be displayed, please, if we have that. And now the founder, DTM Brahmamon, will also meet with the guests after this. Please wait. If we can have the display of the best effort speaker and the evaluator, please.
Thank you. Coming up right away.
Thank you very much. Thank you. If you have any feedback, please do post it on our chat box. If we do have any, is everything okay? Do we wait or shall we?
I believe we can proceed to Bram because we had a tie. I will get back to that during Bram's session.
We will post the best effort speaker and evaluator on the group. With this, I would like to adjourn the meeting, but I'm going to hand it over with the president will be taking it over to discuss and see how today's meeting went. And over to the presiding officer, Brahmamon. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster of the Day. I would like to speak to a few guests who are here and who've actually also signed into our guest book. Thank you very much for signing in the guest book. I've been speaking to a few guests behind the scenes as well. One of the guests who signed in our guest book is from Harare, Ed Moore. I don't believe Ed Moore is anymore. I'm just looking at the screen, one of my screens here. I don't see Ed Moore here anymore. So that's not a problem. I think I'll be speaking to Ed Moore anyways next week, because he's invited me 2 weeks in a row to come and speak in Harare, Zimbabwe, in his I think it's the division or district somewhere. So I'll be doing 2 sessions with him. So I'll speak to him at that time, but he's interested in becoming a member. So wonderful. But I would really like to speak to Erin McDonald. Erin, if you can spotlight Erin next to me, that'll be great. I had spoken at Erin's, I believe it was the division event a couple of weeks ago, and then I spoke at her district event the week after that. Erin, how did you find our meeting? Any thoughts, any comments about the meeting?
This was a wonderful meeting. I really appreciate the opportunity to hear speakers from around the world, and the evaluations and support for the speakers and the evaluators was really effective. So thank you. This was a really wonderful experience. In terms of feedback and suggestions, I don't have any yet. It's still early in the morning, so I might follow up with you if I have any questions or any suggestions later. And I guess my cat would like to say hi.
Oh, hello. What's the name of the cat? And would your cat like to be a member?
His name is Heimdall, after the Greek or after the Norse god, and he probably isn't advanced enough to be a member.
A meow is good enough for an advanced club. Are you thinking of being a member at Leadership Speak?
Oh, I hadn't thought about it, Brahm. Let me get back to you. I really like this experience. I
Yes.
am also working with another global club, so let me think about it.
Sure, absolutely. And please get back to me.
I will. Yes, thank you.
Thank you,
I think
Erin.
it's a great space.
Thank you. The next guest I would like to speak to is Erini. Erini, E-R-I-N-I. I think she's in the audience somewhere. I saw her a little while back. There we go. Hi, Erini. How are you?
Hello,
All the way
Bram.
from Greece.
Hello, Bram. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me today during the whole meeting. I have tried also another time to join you, but unfortunately did not follow the full meeting. And I'm glad we had great speeches, very advanced speakers, but also the evaluation was great. I will also need some time to consider my time schedule, and we'll come back to you if possible to join your club as well.
Sure. I've already connected on WhatsApp during the meeting, so we'll talk soon and then see what's possible. Thank you for attending, and thanks to Elena for introducing you to the club.
Yes, it's a
All
pleasure.
right. Thank you. Now let's have a look at the more guests that we have here today. Busi from Indianapolis. Are you there, Busi? B-U-S-I. Mr. Zoom Master, can you see Busi? Yeah, there she is. Busi Angela Chiware. Hi, how are you?
Hi, Bram. I'm good, thank you.
And so Leah has introduced you to this club, I believe. And
Yes,
how
she
did
did.
you like the meeting? Did you learn anything new or better or metamorphosize into something?
I did find some points very interesting. I think the most interesting thing for me was the evaluation of the Toastmaster of the day. I thought that was like top notch. I was like, that's very interesting that the GE starts with the Toastmaster of the day. And I particularly loved the way the general evaluator conducted that whole session. That for me was so valuable. The speeches, being an advanced speaker club, I expected them to be at the class they were at, but the additional was that general evaluation. I thought it was really, really good.
Wonderful. And are you thinking of being a member?
I am looking for another club to be a member of. So this is why I popped in, and I will be getting back to you.
I can see that you've filled in our guest book, so that's great. Yeah, Leah will be in touch with you.
Thank you.
Thank you for visiting us. Is it Busi? Busi Angela?
Yes, it is.
Superb. I pronounced it well. Let's have a look at other guests who are here. One more. If you would like to speak now, if you can put on your video. If not, let's see. Jackie Madden, Janadimze. Janadamze? Is that from Kenya? Oh, Jackie. Oh, there we are. Jackie Madden.
Yeah.
How are you, Jackie?
I'm well. I'm from Tanzania.
I had found you on Facebook. I had just stumbled upon it and decided to stop in. It was a very well-run meeting. I really enjoyed it. The excellent speakers and excellent evaluators. I have found that people struggle with evaluations in order to evaluations are very important in order to help the speaker get better, and lots of times they don't get really good feedback, I have found, in order to improve. So I enjoyed that. And I hadn't seen before during the evaluation to evaluate the Toastmaster. I think that's a really good idea, because no matter what the role, having an evaluation is helpful to improve. I don't plan on joining at this time. I'm not at that level, but I have signed up for the guest book, and I will attend another time.
Jackie, wonderful. We look forward to you visiting us as many times as you like. There's no limit to the number of times you can visit. So
Thank
please
you.
do visit and learn together with us. Thank you for being here today. Some people have mentioned of a guest that the TMOD was evaluated, and as well as the person delivering the toast. Let me tell you the secret. The Toastmaster of the day was evaluated because they were managing an online meeting from level 4, which is a project. In all the pathways, level 4 elective, manage an online meeting. So all Toastmaster of the day get to complete that project, managing an online meeting. And hence, you probably heard, their role starts 2 or 3 weeks before the meeting, even before they come to the meeting. And they do a lot of background work with the education speaker, with making sure the grammarian, the thought of the day, the toast, they're all aligned with the theme. They work on the theme with the education speaker, and together they create content, and the education speaker then speaks for 20 minutes to the theme. So that's what you're seeing here. As an advanced club, there's a lot of things that go on in the background. That is where we are building leadership and to become much better leaders. This is where leaders are made. This is where leaders are made, where they can communicate effectively. They can speak with conviction, credibility, and there's critical thinking involved in the way they speak. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I think I've spoken to most of the guests who had their video on. Let's speak to Maura. She's back from Ireland. I think she's still in Ireland. Hey, Maura, how are you?
Hello. Sorry, I cannot metamorphose myself to look my real self. But I just want to say that I really enjoyed today, because you know what? I hope that the guests understand that this club is amazing to see the commitment that people have to make better every day. Like, could you imagine there are many speeches every week, and also actually the attention that they have for speakers, evaluators, and everybody to be better and better, even though they are advanced. You know, like for instance, I really love the comments from the general evaluator. Actually, the Toastmasters and general evaluator, who are theoretically the big roles, you know, they were so relaxed. And I think that is so beautiful to see that. And also the speakers, I love all the speakers, all the evaluators. Actually, the timer, I was impressed for the colors and the grammarian, everybody. You know, I can mention my list and now it takes hours, but I just want to say thank you for having me. And I really enjoy, I really feel that, I hope that the guests here will able to understand that the fact that you dedicated more than 1 hour every week, and actually your comments, Braham, like your dedication to have a critical thinking to make people better. How many times we live in a world that is full of selfishness and competition, and they say, me, I want to be the best. And you are the opposite. You say, you know what? I give you my wisdom, my experience to make other people better. And I hope that the guests will understand that.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And so still the invitation is there to join the club when you have a WhatsApp account. All right. Thank you for coming and visiting us. Visit us as many times as you can and learn as much as you can.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mauro.
Thank
and
you.
with that, ladies and gentlemen, I think we are done with speaking to all the guests who were here, whose video we could put on. I will pass this back on to our Toastmaster of the day, who's done an amazing job for this particular meeting, Jyothi Thomas.
Thank you, Bram. I truly enjoyed today's meeting.
Are you going to adjourn the meeting?
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. And I was asking, are you going to adjourn the meeting?
Yes. I thought I'd already adjourned. Sorry. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And I now officially adjourn the meeting.
And stop the
Over
recording.
to you. Kindly.